NFC East predictions dropping right now. Not only are we predicting what teams, do well, wins and losses, we're predicting offensive skill position player outputs. I'm doing projections for JD5, McLaurin, for Jalen Hurts, for Barkley, all of it on this show right now. So buckle up, Buttercups, the Fantasy Football Show, NFC East Prediction Show. Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday show. It begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever.
Live whenever news breaks. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Live additionally midnight, most graveyard shifts. So midnight we're live, 8 p.m. we're live, news breaks we're live. So we're going to get right into the predicting of the NFC East. We've done more than half of the divisions now. We still have to do the South over in the AFC, but we did everything else over on the AFC side of the fence. We're going to kick off. We ended up doing the West because of the Brock Purdy signing. So on that day we did the West. So now we're going to do the NFC East, and we're going to just go in order of what your boy thinks is likely to be the case. Let me see if I can pull up the East right here. Commanders, Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants. And quite honestly, this is probably one of my favorite divisions in the NFL. This is probably one of the most exciting divisions in the NFL. There's arguably going to be the NFC champion coming from this division. You can argue what you want about this and that, and the Lions and the Niners or whatever you want to argue. But at the end of the day, the defending Super Bowl champs are in this division. The likely upset, I'm going to take your spot in 2025 team is in this division. And, I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl, but this is a very good team. So when we start talking about records and we get to the playoff point of this, we're predicting who makes it to the playoffs, how good the players do leading into the playoffs. And then it stops there. We'll do another playoff show later where we see them potentially take a tumble, or do they not this year? Is George Pickens the key? This is an exciting division. I mean, even with Malik Neighbors and Scatterboo, there's a lot to project over on the New York side of the fence. So this isn't going to be a weak. There's no weak link here in terms of projecting fantasy football outputs. I'd have to say though, looking at this thing, it's tough. I mean, I could literally convince myself that one of these teams is going to win 13 wins, the other is going to win 12. That they both could win 12. Washington and Philly. Clearly, I'm not going to have Dallas or New York above Washington or Philly. And I think it could be one of those neck and neck races where, it's a tiebreaker. So they essentially have the same record, and certainly possible. So don't get your panties in a bunch if I have one over the other. But what I'm going to try and do is predict, some bold outcomes here. A bold outcome here would be, man, I am so tempted to say 13 wins here for the Washington Commanders. I think 12 is outstanding. 12 can easily win a division, but I'm gonna go with 13 wins and 4 losses for this Commander team. I think this is going to be a remarkable year. The thing you got to also keep in mind when we're talking about JD5 is he's just begun. A lot of people tend to think, oh, he's going to have a sophomore slump because CJ Stroud did, or hey, he can't possibly be better. He was a rookie. Joe Burrow got better. Herbert got better. Every quarterback we could ever bring up got better. And JD5 was as good as any of them his rookie year. So what do you think is going to happen? And let me just say this in regards to this situation, JD5. We told you. We told you. Remember all the haters? I had somebody say to me the other day, Smitty, has this become the "we told you so" show? And I said, yeah.
Mashed potatoes. Yeah, buddy.
Let's not get your panties in a bunch. Okay, West. There's the West. I need to create I actually have to manually click this button because I haven't created a button for it yet. But 13-4 Washington Commanders. Love this team. Love this team. Love this staff. Love this GM. Adam Peters is, two best GMs in the league are right here in this division. You got Howie. You've got Adam Peters, who came over from the San Francisco 49ers. Had a lot of say in Brock Purdy, in bringing Brock Purdy in. Identified George Kittle. This guy was a marvel in terms of identifying a lot of this talent on the San Francisco roster that's still there. And Peters comes in, and we all said JD5 was the number one quarterback, not Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams wasn't even the fourth best quarterback. It was JD5, Penix Jr., Bo Nix. Those are the top three guys, and Drake May right there underneath them, but very capable of being as good. But it was Bo Nix and Penix Jr. fighting for the number 2 spot behind JD5, and no one was close to JD5. Nobody. It was so clear as day, and yet we had people push back. Oh, the elbow. He had a little bit of a burst of sex. But didn't you see the bump in the photo? Teams are going to avoid him. He's too small. He's going to get hurt. Everybody scattered like cockroaches, and just like I predicted, that after it's all said and done, his rookie year's in the books. He's one of the best rookies to ever play the game at the quarterback position. Best rookie season maybe ever in the history of the NFL. And you have all these people that said all these negative things nowhere to be found. And that everybody would pretend that they were on his side. And everyone's going to pretend this was an easy to see prediction. You know how many people, when we come in and pat ourselves on the back or say something positive, they go, it's like it was that hard to see coming. We knew this was going to happen. There's a lot of hindsight. He was great. We knew he was great. Everybody didn't know. We know. We told you.
Mashed potatoes. Yep.
So here we are predicting the East. We got a 13-4 record. And at the end of the day, I'm going to sit here and say, let's go to the board. Genty. There's Genty.
Let him cook.
Just love it. Random Genty photo just kind of creeps up on you throughout your day. Just makes you feel warm and fuzzy, doesn't it? JD5. Let me put his mug on screen. And I hope you guys appreciate the hard work that entails in terms of making sure that when you guys are watching replays, I have these mugs on screen so that it makes it very, easy to find what Smitty's talking about, because I'm going to always try and do that for you guys moving forward, okay? So, JD5, what a season. What a remarkable season this guy threw down in 2024. He was insane. Dropped, like I said, one of the best, if not the best rookie season, just sum total in the history of the NFL. 4 to 5, depending on your scoring. His yardage was 3, 5, 6, 8. His touchdowns were 25. His INTs were 9. His rushing was 891. 891.
Let's go. Mashed potatoes. Yeah, buddy.
891. Where's my JD5 shirt? My JD5 shirt. Where's my JD5 shirt? Is this my JD5 shirt? That's my A-Chance shirt. Where's my JD5 shirt? I don't know. All right. By the way, I got my TV. My TV fell off the wall. You guys will see a little bit about that later. I fixed it today. 6 TDs on the ground. Let's go back to the board. Woo! Woo! The thing about this is he can improve upon this. This is good, but this is nowhere near. This is scratching the surface. Really, I look at this and I don't sit here and go, well, how's he going to replicate this? I'm sorry, but this is 38. This is 4,000 yards. 3,800 to 4,000 yards. This is a gunslinger. This is not a gadget quarterback, a running quarterback that only throws for 36. This is a 4,000 yard passer. And honestly, 25 TDs, that's Mickey Mouse material. This guy's going to throw for 30. I'm going to say 34. He doesn't have INTs. He doesn't have INTs. Even dating back to college, you look at his college profile. Where's his college profile here? I mean, the man had 4 INTs, 3,800 yards his last college season with 1134 on the ground, 10 rushing touchdowns, 40 passing. I love when people still think he's kind of more of a running quarterback than he is a gunslinger. You don't know what you're talking about if that's what you really believe. Like, listen, learn. 3,800, 40 passing TDs, 10 rushing, 1134, and 4 INTs. He's so careful with the ball. So I don't know that I'm going to give him more INTs. I don't think I'm going to. In fact, I refuse to. We're going to give him 9 again. This total could go down a little, stay right where it is, because they've got Debo now. They're going to try and be careful with them. I'd even say like 850, 810, 800. Let's just give him 810. A little down tick. Never hurt nobody. And honestly, I mean, I think 5 to 6 TDs. You might see just a slight 1 touchdown, 40, 50, 60, 70 yard down tick. That's essentially about 4 or 5 points, less rushing yards. That's like 10 to 12, let's call it, less points running the ball this year. This is not a big deal. He went from 20, what do you have, 25 touchdowns to 34. You gained 9 TDs, and you gained close to, what was it, almost 5,000 yards, about 4,500 yards. You gained 4,500 yards. You gained 9 TDs. You can afford to lose 1 touchdown and 50, 60, 70, 80 rushing yards. This is a monster. This is a monster. This is the number 1 quarterback in 2025. I think Josh Allen could outscore him. I think JD5 could outscore Josh Allen. If you're going to come in here and say something ridiculous like, Smitty, are you really telling people he's better than Josh? Yeah, he can be easily every year. Josh Allen could outscore everybody at quarterback every year. JD5 could outscore everybody at quarterback every year. They're both that good. They're both that good. And Lamar, when he's healthy and he goes up and down, I know he had a great year last year. Some people think he figured it out, but Henry's getting older. I don't think Lamar's going to stay consistently number 1, number 2. I think he's one that goes like this. And I just have a gut feeling. I have no evidence of this whatsoever. Just the Smitty gut instinct on this one that Lamar could somewhat, not going to totally bust on you this year, but somewhat disappoint, at least in a section of the year that makes him nowhere. I don't say nowhere per game maybe, but not going to be in contention for the number 1 quarterback spot. Doesn't mean he can't be 5. Doesn't mean he can't be 4. But this is my guy right here. This is my guy. He's my number 1 quarterback. I don't think it's crazy whatsoever, and he's Smitty mother freaking approved.
You've just been Smitty approved.
As far as the running game, it makes no sense to come in here and just throw numbers around when B-Rob Jr. is going to end up losing, some touches along the way. We've got Krosky Merritt. I like this kid a lot. If anybody doesn't know who he is, he's got an unbelievably crazy name, right? I like Krosky Merritt a lot. I think there's a lot of opportunity for him, but the problem is we just don't know when he's going to end up getting a hold of the starting lineup, if he ever does. So Eckler, Krosky, I'd be just running in circles for no reason, chasing my tail, and I don't have a tail. So I say we just, acknowledge that Krosky Merritt is the sleeping giant of this group, and once he gets in there, he could get something along the lines of, let's call it a 990 yard pace season divided by 17, which would be about 58 to 65 rushing yards, and probably something along the lines of, let's call it a pace of 300 receiving divided by 17. That is 17 to 20 receiving yards, and then TDs. I don't know. Could he score like even 3 or 4 or 5 on the year, even not being in the lineup right away? Like the sum total of his touchdowns at the end of the year is 5 or 6, 4, something like that. But I think this becomes the guy that no one sees coming if there is that player on the roster. Krosky Merritt is a fun player to root for, and how do you not see that name popping up later? You know, Krosky Merritt, everyone's gonna. I could just see it right now. So Krosky Merritt, JCM as they call him. So you got CMC, right? You got CMC's brother, and then now you have JCM. So it's just really fitting that this is gonna. So CMC's brother is Luke. LMC. It starts getting confusing. Like CMC, the LMC to the JCM. But JCM, it's just fitting. You could feel it coming. McLaurin, who is a player that I get coined as not liking a lot this year, which is not the case. I love Terry McLaurin. I love him. The only thing is, let me put Krosky Merritt on screen real quickly just so you guys can see what the man looks like, and you can pay attention. And where is he at? I don't know if I have it actually to put on screen. I'm sorry. I don't. Okay. As for McLaurin, let me get McLaurin's mug on here. McLaurin is a player that obviously we were higher on than most anybody last year because we were on the JD5 train. And we told everybody that McLaurin would be, what was the thing that I said over and over and over? I beat a dead horse. That McLaurin would be the DJ Moore the year that he was handed Fields and he became a top 5 to 7 wide receiver. And I had arguments with, Raj and all the Niner people that he was going to have a better year than Ayuk by far. And they're like, you're out of your mind. Ayuk's so good. This is a better receiver. He's better than Ayuk. He's better than Ayuk. And Ayuk people came from my neck. Niner people came from my neck. Everybody on Raj's live stream came from my neck. McLaurin, we knew was going to break out. We knew this was the DJ Moore of this season in 2024 because he had never been handed a quarterback that could deliver him footballs. The thing about his year, though, Deebo Samuel's now on the squad. He had a huge, anomaly type of season in terms of the let me throw his 82, 196, and 13 TDs. Now, the 13 TDs are explainable in that he never had a good quarterback until now to give him 13 TDs. This is what he's capable of. That could be the argument for sure. But then you mix in Deebo, and then this number probably has to go down. I think it's going to be an 8 to 9 TD season. Certainly capable of being something different. I think he can have 80 and 1090 again. That's no problem. So just for simplicity reasons, 80, 1090, 8 to 9. That's not a huge deal. It's not that crazy for him to drop in touchdowns. And could he be 8 to 10? Sure. So I like McLaurin. The only problem I have with McLaurin and why some people think the guy who talked him up more than anybody last year is hating on McLaurin. I'm not. It's just when he goes in round 3, I'm not the biggest fan of the ROI. Because the return on investment for McLaurin in round 3, you almost have to get more than this to deserve it, or you can't have a setback whatsoever. He's going to have to play ball and do exactly what he did last year in order to earn it. I just think there's safer players and more impactful players here, and you can get a player that can get this number in the round 4, 5, 6 territory. Like Deebo Samuel in round 6 can get you maybe an off-balance version of this. Rushing yards, receiving, it'll be different ways he accumulates the total yards, and he'll have less receptions possibly, but the same amount, if not more, touchdowns. Deebo in round 6 is better cost of entry than McLaurin in round 3. So it just comes down to the cost of entry. It's nothing else. It's no hate. It's no avoid McLaurin. I'm not saying he's going to bust. I'm not saying he's going to get hurt. He is an older player, though, so at some point, he'll start to tail off a little bit. And so, you wonder. I partly wanted Egbuka to go to the Washington Commanders. I partly wanted Luther Burden to go to the Washington Commanders. I quietly want them to sign Isaiah Bond, who is a top 5 wide receiver from this rookie class, to have him sitting behind Deebo and McLaurin to get JD5 ready to get him going. So great year for McLaurin. I think he's going to have a fantastic season. There's nothing wrong with him. There's no predicting bust or anything like that, but be careful in the 3rd round. The problem with the 3rd round is that he was a 4 to 6 round player last year, right? And then what happens? He blows up. We win the day because we told everyone not to stay away. and McLaurin smashed for everybody, and we won that day. But now that he's costing you a third rounder, it's the lure's gone in some respects, and so you just got to be careful. You got to be very, very careful. Okay, so Deebo Samuel, this is a player that I absolutely love this year, and you know people are going to be afraid of him, and you know you want to be a scared Scotty, go ahead. You want to identify what is really at play here. Deebo last year cost a lot higher of a price tag to get in on Deebo. Now he's going in the 6th round. So you have to objectively say this is a steal. Like even if he gets hurt and misses 4 or 5 games, you're probably getting 6th round value back. So if you're looking at this from a perspective of, damn, I don't think he's going to stay healthy, or I don't think I'm going to get a top 10 wide receiver, you're not paying for that. Like if you get that, you're going to explode. You get that, you're going to win your league. So this is a player that we pull up his stats from last year, and it's not like we can really judge him for everything that went down because Shanahan misused him. He got banged up. Shanahan started to use him a ton at the end of the season so he could showcase him and trade him. I told everybody when Mason like stubbed his toe and Shanahan put him on IR, it was like clear as day. He was telegraphing that I don't want him to look good, and then we lose him because he was a restricted free agent. They had to slap the tender on him, and they didn't want somebody coming and taking Mason off the roster, you know. And obviously you get a draft pick if that happens, but they wouldn't want to match it. And so Shanahan tried to make Mason look like he didn't exist anymore. Then they ended up trading him. So it's like just what a stupid move by the Niners there. Niners signed Fred Warner today too. He's deserving. Hats off to Fred. Fred deserves it, but the Niners are spending cash like Lloyd Christmas in that Dumb and Dumber scene where he's like, there you go. They're just handing it to everybody. Fred deserved it though. But that whole trade was ridiculous. Why worry about that? Why bench or why IR Mason because he has a sprained ankle? But he's like he stubbed his toe. He was fine. Deebo, on the other hand, you're running him out there like the Super Bowl's on the line. Everybody else is getting rested. Deebo's playing every position, overworking this guy. He had a really, really good end of the season. At least in terms of like showcasing that he had the ability to bounce back. He ended the season with 2 touchdowns in 2 games. He didn't play week 18, but he had a touchdown in week 16. He had a touchdown in week 17. He had 25 yards rushing on 5 attempts in the week 16 game. He had 16 rushing yards in the week 17 game. He had 7 catches for 96 yards. And again, that touchdown in week 16 very much proved what? What has Deebo shown us the last time he's played ball? He's healthy. Okay, this isn't a player that dropped off and we're wondering like Cooper Kupp, could he ever come back to life? This is a player that showed us he was 100% healthy. The problem is he couldn't stay healthy because he was carrying a little extra baggage. He had some extra LBs on the frame. He wasn't motivated. The fan base hated Deebo. Deebo hated the fan base in San Francisco. It was a very toxic environment. And we've got, I think we've got gifted memberships coming in. Who's dropping these? I'm sure it's BBQ. BBQ with 50 gifted memberships. Absolutely outstanding, BBQ. Appreciate you very, very much.
Let's go, mashed potatoes!
Please thank BBQ if you got a gifted membership. Thank him right now by dropping his own emoji that he has. BBQ's a monster. New Age Outlaw, everybody, Ron, everybody. Even I gave Garrett a hard time yesterday. Garrett being one of the higher super chatters in the show history, top 15 super chats, probably something like that, top 15, top 20. And I gave Garrett a hard time yesterday. So Garrett, if you're watching, I do appreciate you. Deebo Samuel was healthy. Again, Kupp was not. So being hopeful for Kupp is maybe misguided. Being hopeful for Deebo, who dropped fire at the end of the year, it's very, very likely that if he drops the LBs, which he has, he's in shape, which he is, he's motivated again, which he is, because he's in a place where he wants to be, and he loves his quarterback. His JD5 is his quarterback. He loves Adam Peters. He loves this system that he's going to play in, this arsenal run by Cliff Kingsbury, in this improving and exciting team. And he's going to keep Jaden Daniels healthy. He's going to keep the offensive line productive because he's so slippery, just running around the line of scrimmage, that defenses can't even They have to worry about what JD5's doing. He's going to find more open lanes to navigate than he did in San Francisco. And both systems are electric and stretch the field, and there's all kinds of room anyway. But this is a situation with JD5 on the field that's going to reciprocate and help Debo. And Debo being on the field and being so hard to contain, being the best yak yardage receiver probably in the history of the NFL. This is arguably the best yak yardage player at the wide receiver position that's ever played the game. There's statistics to back that up. You can say what you want about him. You can hate him all you want. You could be a Niner fan and want to write him off, whatever. That's ridiculous. This guy, he deserves your respect if you're a Niner fan. The way the Niner fans treated him was despicable because he was holding out, wanted more money. He wasn't doing it like Ayuk. He was doing it very calmly. He was doing it very peacefully. The Niners dragged their feet, made him have a bad season. I don't blame Debo. I blame the Niners for Debo's bad year during the holdout year, but it caused animosity between the fan base and Debo, and it never was resolved, and he was so unhappy. Think back when you've worked somewhere where you hated your job. You absolutely hated your job. How good were you? Were you at your best? What if you're carrying a couple extra LBs too, and you hated your job, and your job required you to be active and fit? You probably wouldn't be on your A game. What happens when you get traded and you go play with a new situation, rejuvenated? You're excited, change, just exciting coaching staff. They wanted you. They traded for you. They give up capital to get you. Yeah, you're going to be motivated. This guy who dropped, Debo Samuel, who dropped, let's look at some previous seasons too. So these are his last handfuls of years in a row. 670, 51, 60 and 892, 56 and 632. This is his huge year. 77 and 1405. That was crazy. His touchdowns were 3-7, 2-6. His rushing totals were 136 yards and 1. 225 and 5, 232 and 3, and 365 and 8. So I'm not going to take this line and just say he's doing this. I'm not an idiot. But I think we start to look at this 5160, 5670, and we say in an environment where he's excited, I want to make this 62. You look at these yards, he's not getting 14. These are touchdowns. This is what did I say it was? 14. 1405. This is he's not going to have probably anything close to 1400, but I don't think he has anything close to 600. I think he has something along this 850 to 900. So I'm going to say 950. I think he catches a lot. I think that his receiving touchdowns probably go in the range of 3726. Is that what we said? Is that right? Yeah, 3726. I'd say we give him 5. I mean, I'm not even matching his second best season. I'm giving him 5. So if we give him 5 TDs here, then his rushing, I'm going to give him not 365, not 136. I'm going to give him the 220. And instead of 8, I'm not giving him 1 touchdown. I'm not giving him 8. I'll give him 5. Or 4. I'll give him 4. I'll give him 220 and 4. So rushing, he's going to have 220 and 4 TDs. That is a 9 TD season. That's a pretty good year. 62 receptions. He's a 6th-round pick. This is his floor. This is unbelievable production from a 6th-round player.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Thank you, BBQ, for dropping the gifted memberships, my boy. You're an absolute monster. Let's go on the Zach Ertz front real quickly. He had a good year, man. Zach Ertz was awesome. he was JD5 safety net. He's played 12 seasons, though, so there is some concern. I like Ben Sinnott a lot, but we just haven't seen anything yet. But Ertz came out with a 654, 66 receptions, and what was his TD total? 7. That was crazy. I think, 55, 610, and 5 is realistic. That's a floor. I'm not saying he can't get 6 touchdowns again. I'm not saying he can't get 700. But I think at his age, expecting some missed time, this is not a bad line to count on. And you're getting him so late, it doesn't even matter. So Zach Ertz, that's we got pretty much everybody covered. I could go into more detail with some of the other guys. You got rookie Lane. I'm not going to get into that yet because we don't have pecking order. And once we have guys rising, we'll talk more about that. But so for now, looking at the AFC East, we're going to go down to the Philadelphia Eagles. So 13-4, JD5, number 1 quarterback. McLaurin, nice year. Maybe not third round smash, but amazing season. Deebo Samuel in round 6 is a steal. Eckler, I don't know. Running game, I don't know. Krosky, Merritt, sleeper, grab them. That's where we're at. Philly, we're going to go with a... Jeez. I guess I'm going to go 12 and... You know what? This is going to be hard to do. The divisions are so tough when you want to rank 2 teams with just such a high win total. Like if I want to go 12 here, then I'm having to put Dallas at a territory I'm just not comfortable with. So 12-5. That means the Giants are going to have to tank. Well, it's possible. Let's ask Ziggy what the probability is. Hey, Ziggy, what is the most likely win total for the Giants without it being a crazy, improbable scenario for the Commanders to have 13 wins this year, the Eagles to have 12, and the Cowboys to have 10?
If the Commanders hit 13 wins, the Eagles get 12, and the Cowboys reach 10, the Giants would likely settle around 7 to 9 wins in a realistic scenario. Given that the division would be super competitive with those records, the Giants would probably land around the middle of the pack unless they pull off some upsets.
See, I don't even think they're going to have that many wins. Okay, so what's the probability, Ziggy, of a 13-4 record for Washington, a 12-5 record for the Eagles, a 10-7 record for the Cowboys, and a 7-win season for the Giants? What's the probability of that?
Given those records, the probability of that exact scenario would depend on a lot of factors like strength of schedule,
yes,
divisional...
Yes, my boy.
If I had to guess, I'd say the probability of that exact scenario, with the Commanders at 13-4, Eagles at 12-5, Cowboys at 10-7, and Giants at 7-10, is pretty low. We're talking maybe a 5 to 10% chance, just because everything would have to align.
Okay. Then Giants 6 wins. What's the probability? Don't give me a long spiel. Just the probability of the Giants getting 6 wins then.
I'd say around a 25% chance the Giants end up with 6 wins. Given the strength of their division...
5 wins. 5 wins.
About a 30% chance they land at 5 wins.
All right. I don't know if he's completely... I don't know how accurate he is. Thank you, Kruger. Appreciate you. I don't know how accurate he is on this either, because sometimes he's been way off. But we're gonna go ahead and say 5 wins. So 5 wins, 12 losses. And this isn't like, look, the Giants are gonna have turmoil at the quarterback position. They might have a rookie in there at some point, like playing tough but like losing close games. I think this seems very doable. I think Kruger, I think this is very doable. This feels like it's more than 30%, but I think it's more like 45, 50, maybe. I don't know. It seems higher than that. 13-4, 12-5, 10-7, 5-12. I think that's very, very, very doable. And if we go over to the Philadelphia Eagles side of this thing from a projection standpoint, and we pull up Jalen Hurts Actually, I want his mug on screen. I told you I'm going to be doing that moving forward. I think it's so much more easy for you guys to sift through the video and be like, oh, this is what he's talking about right here. Okay, so Hurts right here. Pulling up Hurts's stats from last year. Guy was a freaking beast like he is every year. Okay, so we're talking about 2024. And actually, he, depending on scoring, he definitely finished outside the top 5. It just kind of depends on your scoring format. Hurts was, Hurts had a struggle bus year at times, though. And the passing attack worries me. You lose Kellen Moore. I don't know that I'm going to excite everybody with these projections as much as they want, but I still love them. But 2903, 35, or 38, 3858. These are his previous seasons in a row. Yardage 3701 and 3144. 3144. Passing TDs 18. He's not capable of passing TDs like JD5. JD5 could essentially double his passing touchdowns. 18, 23, 22, 16. INTs are 5, 15, 6, and 9. His rushing was 630 and 14. This is where he gets his bread and butter. 605. If he didn't have this rushing, and I'm not saying the tush push, and that's being looked at again, is being talked about today, that they're trying to at least modify it, but they're still trying to get rid of it. And that's going to come back up, which is insane. The league's so corrupt with that. That's so corrupt. This team specializes in this. They in the confines of the rules. It's such a cowardly thing to do, is try and take away a play that everybody could be doing if they wanted, and this team perfects it and you want to take it away from them, which is insane. But if it did impact him on these touchdowns, he went to like 8 touchdowns. It makes it hard for him with these passing totals. These are not very impressive passing totals. It makes it hard for him to become a top 3 quarterback. And this is why I say that he's nowhere near the same level as Mahomes. He's nowhere near the same level as Josh Allen. He's nowhere near the same level as JD5. We got in this argument in the offseason, and I think it was Ron and a couple other people that were like calling in and telling me that they'd rather have Hurts than Mahomes if they're starting a franchise, which is laughable. I'm sorry, Ron, if you're out there, anybody out there, that's a joke. This guy's nowhere near he's an elite fantasy quarterback, and he's a really damn good quarterback, borderline elite, but it does come down to this right here. And I know he won a Super Bowl, and I'm not saying he's not a damn good quarterback. He's an elite fantasy quarterback, and he's a damn good, listen to the words coming out of my mouth, a damn good quarterback, but he's not in the top 4 or 5 elite players from a physical NFL QBing perspective. He needs a certain situation as well, which, he may still have in Sirianni, but he doesn't have in Kellen Moore. And last time he lost his OC, he had a bad year. He had a struggle bus year. And so we'll see what happens. But I'm going to go ahead and project him to have somewhere along the lines of not a 2,900 yard season, not a 37 or 38, but maybe like a 3,100 yard passing season. 16, 22, 23, 18. Look, the guy doesn't, he might throw more TDs this year because they're maybe not in as good of a groove. 5, 15, 6, 9 INTs. I think he probably gets you, let's give him 9 INTs. And from a rushing perspective, the guy does nothing but run for 600 yards. So how do you give him less? I'm going to give him 650. So these are TDs passing. No, INTs. Sorry. INTs, TDs, and then rushing, we're going to give him 650. And I don't know what's going to happen with the tush push, to be honest with you guys. I think that, they're still going to find ways to sneak him. They're not going to sneak. He's still going to sneak the ball. He can bench 600 pounds. But could 15, 14 turn into 11 TDs? It could. So we'll go 11 to 14 depending on that, how that plays out. But, this is a good year, but is it QB 1 or 2 or 3? Probably not. He need this total to be in the 14, 15 to get close. If it ends up being this more conservative floor, and this could even be 10 to, let's call it 10 to 12. This is a good year, but it's not quite as good. I mean, this is only if he gets 10, it's only 31 touchdowns. You know, you add 650 to this total, it's still nowhere near Joe Burrow throwing 5,000 yards. So just be careful, take him where you're getting him in best ball, which is like sometimes he falls to round 5. And I love that. But am I taking him in round 3 with JD5 or hell no? Josh Allen and JD5 are a level above him. And that's not a knock on him. We've been a big Hurts community. In fact, we were higher on Hurts than anybody you could possibly find. And I know that for a fact because he was on our Moon Man list when we first launched it. And he exploded from the 6th to 7th round. And we cleaned up. We absolutely cleaned up in fantasy football. That was a huge year for us and a big prediction for us here on the channel. And we love Jalen Hurts on this channel. Saquon Barkley had a remarkable year. There is word he's on the Madden cover, which is a huge red flag. So Madden, do we have confirmation on the Madden cover? That's a huge, huge concern. Saquon Barkley ran the damn ball a crazy amount of times. He had 345 attempts during the regular season. He ran the ball roughly 430 times on the year. He had, I believe it was like 470 total touches on the year. And the carry curse of 371 carries is in effect because this man exploded past it with 430. The 371 carry curse was unbeatable. It was undefeated for many, many years. I want to say up until like roughly, I want to say like 2015, 16, it started to get breached or whatever. But like even back when DeMarco Murray, ran, for I think well over that, and he broke that next year. It happens all the time. So yeah, it's crazy to think that this guy's gonna have a disappointing year because he just dropped a 2,005 rushing yard season with 13 TDs on the ground and a whopping 33 receptions for, I shouldn't say a whopping. I mean, he could do better in that department. And what was it? 2 touchdowns. So 33, 278 and 2. He really wasn't actually that great in the passing game. I just say whopping because he's such a monster and I love him. Everyone loves Barkley. How do you not love Barkley? But there's a really good chance, guys, that he misses time this year. This right here, you can say what you want about it. But there are a lot of people that don't like curses. I'm gonna say Barkley misses 4 or 5 games. And this is, I don't like saying this, 4 to 5 games. Now, does that make him a bust? It makes him a bust from his ADP to a degree, but he's not a total avoid, especially in best ball if you can surround yourself with talent that steps up. At the end of the day, he's still averaging 5 yards per carry. He got 345 attempts last year. Let's just call 325 what he probably should be getting this year, or call it 330. So 330 divided by 17 is 19 carries a game. And if he misses 4 games, I'm going to say 4 games, roughly. So let's say he plays 12 games. Yeah, let's say he plays 12 games, 4 or 5 games. Let's say 5. So 12 games times 19 carries a game is 232 carries times 5 or 4.9-ish. So he's still going to have 1,140 yards rushing. And that's going to piss people off because they're paying a price tag for that. Let's call it 13 TDs divided by 17 and then multiply that times 12 games. He's going to have 9 TDs. Off of the same numbers, really, roughly. So missing 4 or 5 games, he'll still be great per start. Maybe he misses the final 4 games, though. That's why you got to be concerned. But this is something you're going to be disappointed in if you're paying top dollar. And you cut his receiving totals into like if he got you 33 last year, he's going to get you 20 receptions for like 120 and 0 to 1 touchdown. So his receiving is like non-existent. This will be a year that I just think Barkley, it's going to be an unfortunate situation. It's not going to be something to where like anybody's proud of or calling him a bust because he's going to fall off talent-wise. But breakdown is almost certainly in the cards in terms of huge red flag and risk. Huge, like 80% chance he's missing significant time in my eyes. Even if it's 3 or 4 games and he comes back and he's a monster when he gets back. But the workload's crazy. Not to mention Barkley has had a game with 13 played games, a game with 2 played games, a game with 13 played games, and he played a full season in 2022, didn't play a full season in 2023, did play a full season in 2024. He's on par to miss some time in 2025. Whether you want to hear it or not, that's just what I'm going to tell you. Per game, he'll be amazing. He'll be 5 yards per carry, which if he misses 4 to 5 games is, again, roughly 1,150 to 1,200 yards, depending on how many yards per carry above 5 he is. That is what he's going to get you if he misses 4 to 5 games. And if he doesn't miss 4 to 5 games, then he'll be what he was last year. And you can say, Smitty, how you predict injury? Look, there's a reason I do what I do. You can either like it or not like it. You can watch or not watch. If I haven't proven to you by now that we're pretty damn good at predicting injuries, we're pretty damn good at predicting breakouts. I miss stuff all the time. I'll give you some negatives. I missed on Tank Dell. He couldn't stay healthy. I love Tank Dell. I missed on doubting Joe Mixon's beginning of the year, even though he did fall off the face of the earth and lose people leagues. My scarlet letter from last year is not telling people to draft him, play him for 10 weeks, then trade him high. We miss stuff all the time. No one's going to be near 100% accurate. But predicting something like this, it's going to be uncomfortable. Barkley owners that have him right now are going to be so pissed off in the comments later. You can't predict injury. That's ridiculous. You're predicting injury, Smitty. AJB. Madcap AJB. What are we doing with AJB? Let me tell you something. I like this guy. I've always liked AJB. AJB is a player that he's come on the show twice on Instagram. And I didn't get to talk to him last year. I was very, very disappointed in that. He's too busy for me now. But I told him the year he's going to break out. I told him you're going to have a breakout season. He's like, I told him you're going to be wide receiver or whatever. And he's shocked. I was like, don't you worry. I was like, you look shocked, AJB. Don't you worry about it. I'll take care of the predicting. You just go out and play. And he left. But AJB has played 6 years, has had a string of knee injuries and scopes and cleanups and things like that. But that doesn't mean it's easy to predict when he's going to get hurt. These are his previous seasons: 106, 88, 63, 70, 52, 10, 51, 10, 75, 8, 69, 14, 96, 14, 56, and 10, 79. Uber inefficient last year. Now, let me tell you something that's going to make people, and I don't want to make the Eagle predictions like a bunch of downers, but the thing about this guy is he didn't catch a lot of balls in Tennessee. He just didn't. And I know he did catch a boatload in Philly in this season right here, this 106 year right here, 106, and this is the 2023 season. He caught a boatload there. But he is historically a sub 90, 88 catch player. And he's so uber efficient. Look at these numbers. We've always said that if A.J. Brown caught 115 passes, he'd have 19,000 yards. Because he literally took 88 catches and turned it into 1496. He took this in two 1496 seasons. He took this efficiency to a whole nother level. 70 catches, 11 TDs. 52 catches, 8 TDs. I mean, just remarkable. 88 catches, 11 TDs. He's been so uber efficient. The problem is, with Jalen Hurts not being the best passing quarterback, he's amazing all around. they took a big step backwards last year. He was a big diva about it. He was very much not liking his situation, even though recently he's put that to bed and said that, he wants to be an Eagle. He very much, a lot of people, selfish is the right word. He kind of felt like he was coming off selfish. Me, give me the ball. And if he doesn't get the ball, what happens? Is he going to shut down? If the Eagles take a step backwards this year, is he going to be like, this is unacceptable. I'm a winner. I need to be in a winning environment. Like, I'm not saying he's going to want out, but is he going to be upset about the year shut down and not play as well? If his knee's bothering him, could he shut it down early and have some sort of knee injury, surgery? He's had tons of knee cleanups. And as I've always told you guys, when you have a knee issue, and the meniscus is the worst knee injury to really have. The meniscus is so vital because it is padding for the knee. Everything around the knee, if your knee is off kilter at all, meaning you have less meniscus on this side because they've cut it out, like a brake pad. If you take a corner of your brake pad and cut it out at an angle and it doesn't grow back, your car alignment is off. What happens when your car alignment is off? Not a big deal at first. You're driving down the road, no big deal. You start wearing out the brakes differently. You start wearing out the rotors differently. You start wearing out the right side of the vehicle differently. Anybody who knows a lot about cars knows that if you go through speed bumps every day, you know how you try and split them and the speed bump goes down in the middle and you try and drive your left side over the flat part so that you don't hit the bump very hard. Anybody that knows anything about brakes and suspensions and cars truly will rotate. Like one day they'll go down on the left tire. The next day they'll go down on the right tire. You always want to even things out. When you have a meniscus problem where you have less meniscus on one side, you're off kilter. Your knee issues over time are going to amplify and compound. And so there is almost no world where this guy who's had a lot of meniscus injuries and knee injuries doesn't eventually have major knee problems and maybe a quick degenerative knee issue, kind of like Todd Gurley, where it just comes on really fast. Now he's a receiver, so it's going to hit him a little differently than being a running back and having to hit that hole. Like elevator doors closing, you lose the ability to hit the hole, you're done in the NFL as a running back. Wide receivers can use their brain, their physicality. He's a big guy. He can go up and grab the ball. So I'm not extremely worried about him just dropping off the face of the earth, but I'm afraid about missing games. Mixed with no Kellen Moore, just like I'm worried about the Giants offense a little bit, not having Ben Johnson. No Kellen Moore. Hurts struggled last year passing the ball. We just went over Hurts, even though we call him a monster. He's amazing, won the Super Bowl. He's tough, he's gritty, he's a great leader. The team loves him. He's so calm, collective. He still had a bad year. He was, compared to what he's done before, he was not in the top 4 quarterbacks. And let me go into this quarterback scoring here. Last year, Lamar was 1, Burrow was 2, Baker was 3. That's crazy. 2024 stats. I'm looking at it right here. Allen 4, JD 5, Goff 6, Bo Nix 7, Darnold 8, Jalen Hurts 9. So Jalen Hurts already coming off what we can consider a struggle bus fantasy year, not a struggle bus NFL year. And that's the one quarterback where the discrepancy is very big. The discrepancy between a good NFL quarterback and a good fantasy quarterback is usually there's no discrepancy at all. Burrow's number 4 or 5 in the NFL. He's 4 or 5 in fantasy. It's just the way it is. But Hurts is the one anomaly. Kind of like there's been running backs like that before. There have been other players, but quarterbacks specifically, you can always say that. Goff's been playing top 6 fantasy numbers the last, couple of years, top 6, 7, 8, and he's not a top 6, 7, 8 quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. Goff is outside the top 10. So there are a couple quarterbacks like that. I just think losing Kellen Moore, this guy not being a reception hog over the course of his career and coming off a 67 reception season with injury risk, I think AJB might be one of the riskiest wide receivers to draft in round 2.
You've just been Smitty disapproved.
That's so painful to say. I almost say Planet Uranus, but we'll have to think about it because it's not about the player. It's not about his character. It's not about that he's a bust. It's about, I think, missing games is very likely. And again, people that don't want to hear me predict injury are going to have a problem with that. And that's fine. I really don't care. I really, really don't care. I'm not here for those people. I'm here for the other people. Okay, so AJB, wide receiver 20 last year. Smitty, this is crazy. You're saying avoid AJB. He was wide receiver 20 last year. How many games did AJB miss last year when he was wide receiver 20? How many games? He missed 4. So 4 games missed. Diva mentality. It is what it is. You can get mad all you want. Let's go to Devontae Smith. If this guy gets hurt, what does that mean for Devontae Smith? While I'm going to make it an optimistic outlook, I don't know that he just climbs to the top of the fantasy football universe just because I don't know what Jalen Hurts is going to do. I think the Eagles, part of me wants to go back to this division and say, maybe I'm just too high on the Eagles this year, on this record. The defense is so good, though. You know what I mean? It's like this defense is just unbelievable. So, at the end of the day, do they just keep winning games? Like, even if they're going to fold in the playoffs potentially, given, I think, the Kellen Moore loss, all of that, is this a team that does get 11? I'm thinking 11 wins, maybe more than 12 at this point, but the defense is so good. The Commanders going 8-9. Brandon, you wish, bro. Tell me you're either Brandon. I hope for your case it's the second of the two, not the first. But tell me you don't know ball without telling me you don't know ball, or tell me you're just a complete fandom is taken over and you're a division rival fan and you're just letting that cloud your judgment. I hope it's number 2, for your sake. All right, let's go back to the East real quickly. Or I'm sorry, the marker board real quickly and go Devontae Smith action here. So Smith has had a 68-yard reception season, 81, 95, and 64. That 95 was awesome. I think we looked at the 95 a little bit for answers and say, okay, this is what he could do with the amount of targets he needs. If he's getting 125 to 135 targets, this is targets. If he's getting that, then that's when he produces this, 1,100-yard line. His yards were 833 last year. So disappointing year. 1066, 1196, and 916. And his touchdowns were 5, 7, 7, 8. So he doesn't feel like a double-digit guy by any means. He missed time last year as well. Played 13 games. So this is understandably low. I'd probably say give him this middle line. It looks good. I don't think I'm going to touch it. 81, 1066, and 7. I mean, obviously, give or take, let's call it 1070, 82, just 7 TDs. I think this could go 7 to 9 TDs, depending on how many games AJB misses. And Ertz. Yeah, I'm thinking Ertz because he was with Philly. Goddard, I'm going to say, God, I don't know. He can't stay healthy. This whole team. This could be the year that the Niners and the Eagles just can't stay healthy. The Niners have Kittle, CMC, Trent Williams, then trying to protect Brock Purdy. Didn't invest in the offensive line really at all. The Niners could be injured from top to bottom. And their good defense, I think they could still have a good defense, will get worn out. The Eagles, I don't know. There's so many injury-prone players. They always have a good draft, though. Their defense is phenomenal. That's why they might have 12 wins. But look, Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith struggled last year. If the 430-plus carries that Barkley got last year get him hurt, the Eagles are one-dimensional, and they weren't even good in the grand scheme of things in that one-dimensional part of their game that they'll be left with. That's why I think this could be a struggle bus year for the Eagles. Goddard is a very tough player to predict. He took a pay cut to stay. He clearly wanted to stay put. He was tight end like 28 to 30 last year. He misses games every year. 10 games played last year, 14 the year prior, 12 the year prior, played 15 games in 2021, played 11 games the year prior. He's always missing time. Played 7 seasons. He's 30 years old. Carries 256 pounds of weight around on a 6'5 frame. A lot of wear and tear hitting the ground. His TD numbers are 2, 3, 3, 4, 3, 5. So he's getting you 3 to 4 TDs. There's just nothing higher than that coming to you. There's no way. I mean, there's a way, but there's no way to expect that and feel comfortable. Yardage, 496, 592, 702, 830, 524. Let's call it 500. And we'll call it 41 receptions. That's a pretty decent best ball tight end that rotates, in optimal fashion. So there's that. Appreciate you hanging out here so far today, guys. Appreciate everybody in there. Hit that thumb up button. Subscribe if you're new. 150 of you in here. Only 48 thumbs up. We got 144 in the building and only 48 thumbs up. We can pump those rookie numbers up. 48 thumbs up. If you're on mobile, hit the 3 dots in the corner. You can hit the like button there. And if you're watching on desktop or whatever, your TV, please hit the like button. Do it live, if you don't mind. 48. I mean, we can do better than that. We're still at 48. 150 watching, only 48. Okay. Let's go over to the East again. We're going to break down the Dallas Cowboys now, who again have a 10-7 record. I still want to maybe move the Eagles down to 11 wins. Yeah, I don't know. People want to believe in the Commanders so bad for some reason. Jason. For some reason, I don't know what it could be. I don't know what it could be, my guy. For some reason, this 12-5 team from last year. This one, the only person that should call in right now is Jason.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Jason, you want to explain the verbal diarrhea that just came out of your mouth? I'd love to hear it. Phone line's open for Jason only. For Jason. People want to believe in the 12-5 Commanders with a rookie quarterback, and they got Deebo Samuel. For some reason. For some reason. All right, Cowboys, Dak attack, baby. He's gonna have quite a year. I'm real excited about Dak Prescott this year. I feel like Lamb Chops is gonna potentially be that dark horse number 1 wide receiver. I think Neighbors also has that allure. Let's start off with Lamb. Let's put Lamb on screen, and we'll wait for Jason's call. I doubt he calls, but Jason, you're more than welcome. This better be Jason. Yeah, Jason, what's up? You're live. Is this Jason?
No, it's not Jason, man.
What? So what? What about? Yeah. What did you not hear? Did you not hear the instructions? Did you not hear the instructions? Okay, you want to side with Jason? Go ahead. Who is this? What?
I side with Jason.
You keep saying that. Josh. Okay, Josh. Okay, Josh wasn't Jason. It was, who was the other guy? It was Jason and Brandon. Okay, so go ahead, Josh. Tell me how we're all just saying what?
The Commanders won 7 games last year on the last possession of the game. Now that's a little fluky. It's a little fluky. That's all I got.
That's all you got? So when Jason and you and Brandon in the chat want to lightly hate, just a little tread lightly on the hate, but you're trying to push the Commanders down, knock them down to size, and you're saying, I can't believe everybody wants to believe in this 12-5 team led by a rookie. What makes you think he's not going to get miles and miles better than where he is? Like, for him to do what he did, to lead a team to a 12-5 record with what was supposedly going to be a bad offensive line. Like, what on earth makes you think that there's not A, room for tons of improvement, and B, like, he doesn't earn the win because it was in the final drive? Doesn't that show him as a clutch player? I don't understand why you take it away from the guy. And let me merge this call to see if this better be Jason, because that was the strict instructions. Is this Jason? Is this Jason on the line?
This is Jason, Smitty.
Okay, Jason. All right, Jason, mute yourself real quickly. Josh stepped over you, and he's trying to prove his point. Go ahead, Josh.
All I got, Smitty, is the NFL's never seen anything like JD5. There's never been a rookie that's saying what JD5 is. So granted, you're valid, right?
I know.
I just think me seeing the Commanders get all those dubs, 7 of them on the last drive, I don't know if that's all I got.
Okay, well, not a very strong argument, but I appreciate you calling in. Let's see if go ahead, Jason. I hope you do better than that.
No.
Don't
have to. I'll just show you guys the CJ spread from last year. What everybody was saying about
So what happened to one man that's completely unrelated has to happen to the next man. Okay. Bro, that's the dumbest logic. That's the dumbest logic I've ever heard. You're really going to tie a guy's success to another player because he had a sophomore slump? What are you talking about, bro?
And you're raising JD's value based off of Debo's Samuel? That's what we're doing?
That's a pretty big weapon to get, my guy. No, we're raising. Have you not paid attention to anything, bro? He was a rookie. He was a rookie last year. You don't think JD5 alone without Debo's getting better? Not to mention Debo's a pretty damn good option to hand a team. Like, this is your second wide receiver, and you think Debo? You say it like Debo doesn't have the ability to elevate his game. What are you talking about? He's a rookie last year.
Are we saying Debo is good enough to change the 55-23 score in the NFC Championship? Is that what we're saying?
I'm saying, I don't think you're hearing me. I'm saying, listen, I'm going to tell you. I think Debo elevates JD5. Well, are you going to let me talk? Are you going to let me talk? Are you going to let me talk? JD5 gets elevated, Matt. JD5 gets elevated massively, my boy, with the addition of Debo. The answer is yes, that alone can do that. But second of all, you're factoring in no improvement for JD5, who was a rookie last year, my guy. Like, what is he just supposed to be what he is now? Because he was so good, you're not going to give him a pass to be a guy that's going to learn and get better. Like, you two have zero argument. I haven't heard a single lick of solid, concrete, logical thought coming out of either one of you.
So
Zero.
This is concrete.
No, I don't think I'm going to, but go ahead.
No, listen, you just saw an Eagles team led by Jalen Hurts with every single person on that offense returning, right? Except for a right guard, but whatever. That same team just broke the scoring record for most playoff points ever. And in doing so, also just dominated and embarrassed the team that was going for a 3 seed. Am I right?
What
makes you think that same team? No, I'm just saying. What makes you think that same team,
bro,
season is just going to fall flat?
Bro, that is no relation to JD5. Number one, you're trying to talk JD5 down. Now you're detouring because you know you have nowhere to go. You're sitting in a cul-de-sac without anywhere to go. So now you're trying to go toward. I just explained it. I did about a 30-minute breakdown as to why the Eagles are very vulnerable. They lost their offensive coordinator. Jalen Hurts did not have a good year last year. A.J. Brown did not have a good last year. Barkley took 430 plus carries.
Smitty, let's go one by one. You said we lost the offensive coordinator. So who did we replace?
Bro.
Kelvin Fuller, who's been with Jimmy
Bro.
years now.
Bro.
So we'll skip past that. What's your next point?
I just gave you about a 30-minute breakdown. You should be prepared if you want to attack my points instead of saying you.
Going 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
Catch me up.
Okay. Barkley 430 plus carries on the year. How are you going to defend that?
Okay. That's a lot of carries.
It's a lot of carries.
Production this year, no. But my thing is, so you just said Barkley's going to take a step back, correct?
I'm saying Barkley has a high likelihood. Look, I'm not going to go watch the show again. I'm not going to review the whole show with you. Like, you either have a point against the show or you call in 10 minutes late and you don't have any information and you're trying to argue this whole thing back over with everybody. Everybody already heard it. And you've made 0 points in your favor. So you're hanging on by a thread because I got to move the show on and this isn't going anywhere. You got nothing. You're shooting blanks. You're shooting blanks. No, you're shooting blanks. You're shooting blanks.
No, I want to know why, if Barkley's taking a step back, does that not elevate A.J. Brown's game? We'll go to A.J. Brown. If Barkley's taking a step back, obviously
I didn't say Barkley's taking a step back. I said Barkley's going to miss a handful of games. This offense is not going to be in as good of lockstep. Okay, bro, I've explained it. I think you need to go rewatch it because you don't know what you're talking about.
Finish him. Call terminated.
He's just going over the same stuff that we've already gone over. And neither one of them had a solid. They're trying to crap on this man, and when he has nowhere to go, he heads over to Philly. He heads over to Philly. It has no relation. You think that this guy, you think Deebo Samuel is going to make a difference? Yeah, I kind of do.
Let him cook.
Smitty, I'll tell you my number one reason why JD5 is going to do bad. CJ Stroud. That's why. Oh, are they the same person? No, they're not.
Take a big lap. We don't need your head mask coming back now. Take a big lap. Take one and you don't come back.
Unbelievable. All right. Anyway. Where were we at? What player were we predicting? CeeDee Lamb? I think we were on the CeeDee Lamb front. Lamb Chops, where are you? Lamb Chops, come on down. Lamb Chops, come on down. Go ahead, Travis. You're live while I prepare this, but then I'm going to have you mute until I finish the rest of it. Okay, I guess he's not there. Lamb, I'm going to say, let's see here. Let's pull up Lamb's previous seasons and just go over his game log and just unbelievable player. Just unbelievable. 101 and 1194 last year. He's QB proof. He only had 6 TDs, but that's understandable with a rotation of garbage that he was playing with. This guy is totally QB proof. 135, 107. You're talking about 1359. You're talking about 1749. 12 TDs that year and 9 TDs this year, and he's just getting going. This guy, I believe during entering the season right after this where he had 79 receptions, I think he grew a half an inch. He grew a half an inch in size, in height. It's crazy. He's played 5 years. He's 26 years old. I think this guy's going to play for another 5-6 years at this level. So this is going to be a guy that, with Dak Prescott, protected by Joe Milton as a backup situation that I love. It's secure as can be. He's going to get you something in between the 101 and 135. Let's call it 125. He's going to get you something in between 1749 and 1358. Let's call it 1450. He's going to get you, I believe. I see no reason why he can't have 12 TDs this year. I see no reason why he can't have the most TDs he's ever had. We've been doing some sort of in between. I don't think we need to do that with CeeDee Lamb. I think I'm going to give CeeDee Lamb 14 TDs. CeeDee Lamb is arguably the dark horse wide receiver 1. Of course, Jamar Chase would be the guy I draft number 1 overall. What I love this guy. I think he's going to absolutely explode. And Dak is going to explode as well. If we go over to Dak Prescott, as we're predicting this out, we'll go to Pickens next. Dak Prescott, he's had some ups and downs. He's been injured. It's not like, he's been super reliable. 8 games played last year, 17 the year prior, then 12 games that year, 16 prior, then 5 games. He's kind of on a 1 year, 1 year off, 1 year, 1 year off. And if he missed 8 games last year, then 8 to 9 games last year, then that means he's in for a full season in 2025. Because he rotates it. And so here we go, Dak. Dak is going to have, let's get Dak Attacks mug up on screen again. Dak, in best ball, it is not a dumb idea to cuff Dak Prescott to Joe Milton. And while some people will say that's a waste of time, you could grab another player. It depends how you're doing it. If you're grabbing Dak Prescott at, let's say, the end in round 18, there's not a lot of quarterbacks that are going to help you there anyway. So taking Dak Prescott and having him as your main quarterback, or even if he's your second quarterback, let's say you take Josh Allen and you take Dak because you could draft CeeDee Lamb in round 1, so you got the Dak and CeeDee Lamb stack, and then you wait to grab your third quarterback. You're talking about a guy like maybe Aaron Rodgers who might not even play, and you're talking about other quarterbacks that are rookies like Jackson Dart or something. I mean, give me Milton to cuff to Dak, and that's fine in best ball. Now, in non-best ball, you might not be able to do it in dynasty or very huge leagues, huge keeper leagues where you have, practice squad spots and shit like that. Like, I take Milton and cuff him to Dak Prescott all day long. So this is CeeDee Lamb. This is CD. So CeeDee Lamb. Dak is going to get you something along the lines of, you look at his previous years, and again, we're talking about 2023 and 2021 being his healthy years. So his healthy years, 45-16 and 36-9, and 44-49, 37-10. I don't see how he doesn't just replicate this, because we've seen him when he's playing. This is what he gets. When he's healthy, this is what he gets. Getting Pickens will help him get this even more. I'm going to say 45, 80, 37 TDs, and 10 INTs for Dak Prescott in 2025, which puts him like top 5, 6, 7 quarterback material, depending on how much everybody else explodes. But this is a remarkable year. He's one of the best values in fantasy football when you get to the middle, past the middle rounds. We're near double digit, round 9, 10, 11 range for quarterbacks. This is probably my favorite. You punted quarterback, missed out on Mahomes and Burrow and all the boys, and you got to go QB shopping late, and that's okay because Dak's there to save the day. Dak is one of the best values in fantasy football 2025. Period.
Let's go, mashed potatoes! Yeah, buddy.
Dak is gonna explode. Pickens, I know they're talking a lot in Dallas, especially Pickens and Lamb, supporting each other, and I like the camaraderie. First of all, if you look at a heat map of targets, and here's Dak. Here's the offensive line. We're going this way. Dak Prescott, or Pickens' targets are like this. That's Pickens. He's all on the sideline. He's catching those sideline toe tappers. He's jumping up. CeeDee Lamb's target log heat map is all like right here. They overlap perfectly. These two are two peas in a pod. They are a perfect fit. And while Pickens comes with some baggage, I think his baggage and head case situation, BBQ dropping a $20 hauler on screen, says J85 took a team that was expected to win less than 7 games and made it to the NFC Championship. Team had more holes than Swiss cheese. He is him. Not to mention, all the talk about the offensive line being so bad. And what did we say? What did I say over and over and over? JD5 will fix the offensive line just by stepping onto the field. That's the way it works when you have a mobile quarterback that stretches the defense out. On top of, you create no stack boxing situations because you got somebody spying where you're at constantly. So offensive line fix is just drafting him, and then they improved it on top of it. But George Pickens coming off a disappointing 959 reception and 3 TD season. Previous year, he had 5, 1140, and 63. Previous year, he had 52, 801, and 4. So if I had to guess, this is a 65 reception guy. I mean, he could have, that would be his career best. So we'll put him there. I think this is 1,000. We'll give him that 10-10, that famous 10-10 total. I don't think he gets 1,100. I think he's playing second fiddle, but he will be effective. He'll be like T. Higgins. He'll support. He'll have big spike weeks. He'll be better than Lamb some games, but he will be a supportive cast member. And while I think he can get a 7 TD mark, and kind of have a career high in TDs and a career high in receptions, so these will both be career highs. This won't be, but this will be a really, really good year. I mean, he could get career high there too, 1150, something like that. It's certainly possible. But this will be a T. Higgins supporting cast member, and best ball, it's fantastic. It's going to be an absolute amazing situation. Now, the running game, hard to predict because Javonte, I don't think, holds onto the ball or onto the job all year. I hope he does. Let's hope he really excels. I love him. I'll be the first person to jump back on the train that we actually invented and conducted, and it didn't work out. That was one of the bigger busts that I've had, is banking on Javonte. He tears his ACL. He never recovers and becomes the guy. So Javonte, hard to expect, the world from him. I hope that he does explode. We just can't expect it. Blue, I like Jaden Blue a lot. I don't like Miles Sanders that much, but Jaden Blue could become something of a Swiss Army knife later, but expecting to have good numbers to extrapolate or for out of Javonte, you can't, and to have good projections out of Blue when you don't even know at what point he gets work or not, it's hard to say. So at the end of the day, I'd probably say, just draft Blue, similar to Krosky Merritt. This is the sleeper. Depending on where Javonte goes, consider him in a draft or two just so you have some shares. As far as Ferguson goes, can the guy stay healthy? I don't know. He's a really talented guy, but he missed, a handful of games last year. I think if you look at his previous season of 71, 761, and 5 TDs, I think something along the lines of 55 to 59, 650 to 7, and something along the lines of 4 TDs, I think is possible for him. And then the upside for more is certainly there, but that's going to be that team, and very excited about what the Cowboys have in store for everybody that doubts them from a football 2025 regular season perspective. And wouldn't it be shocking if they were neck and neck with the Eagles? And again, I'm still very tempted to knock this to 11. 5-12. And the other thing that's so funny about that last caller is, like, there's going to be struggles, but the defense is so good and they still are going to produce. Like, I don't know what someone would have a problem with when you're still predicting a 12-5. You can't please, like Grandpappy said, you can please all the people some of the time, some of the people all the time, but you can never please all the people all the time. Denny, I'm in the middle of projections, so I'm not taking calls yet, but you can call right after. Is there an emergency? Do you need to get picked up or something? Okay, where are you at? We'll send an Uber. All right, real quickly, anything you want to add? I'm in the middle of doing the projections. I'm not taking calls right now, but I answered for you because you're special. You're special.
Would you pick me up, though?
If we were in the same city, yes. All right, Denny, call back in a little bit. Appreciate you. Okay. New York Giants. Quarterback situation is completely impossible to predict. when is the the switch going to happen? I think the main thing is you stay away from Russell Wilson. And will Jackson Dart be good when he gets in there? It's hard to know. What I do know is that Scattaboo is the player to own. It's hard to trust Scat from a week 1 perspective. It might take him some time to grab the job, but at the end of the day, do I think he has some sort of 800 to 900 yard, rushing yard season with something along 6 to 7 TDs, 30 catches for 225, and 1, and has this, really remarkable, hey, if we extrapolated this over the course of 17 games, type of analysis at the end of the year, certainly think we could come back and have that. I just don't know that he'll be in full starter mode all year long. If he is, then I think, and I'm just going to give you 2 scenarios. If he gets the job by week 1, let's say Tracy fumbles the job away in the preseason, and they're like, we don't trust him, and we thought this would happen. You're talking about Scat having that, 1,000 rushing season, probably something still similar to like 33 to 55 and 1, but he could have 1,000 to 1050 as a rookie, playing, starting, sharing a little bit, but still the main guy. But I think the safest bet is to just expect a 225, 220, 30 receptions, 27 to 30 receptions, 1 TD, and then this like 800 to 900 rushing yards, and just expect it to pop in a pocket of time at the end of the year where it's all congested together and you're seeing what he is. He's having 100-yard games here and there. He's having 100 total yard games. He's scoring a touchdown every other game at least, and he's looking fantastic down the stretch. And it will be a fun thing to see. But 800 to 900 yards, 6 to 7 TDs, that's what I think Scat is capable of doing. As far as the rest of this Giants team, there really is only Neighbors to get excited about. And so I'm going to put Neighbors on screen here, and we're going to project away. Neighbors coming off a remarkable year in 2024, having a top 6 wide receiver season as a rookie. The man is 21 years old. The man pulled in 7 TDs in 2024 as a rookie. The man pulled in 1,204 yards as a rookie. The man pulled in 109 receptions as a rookie. These are unbelievable numbers. This is and granted, there's going to be a lot of quarterback concerns, right? So I don't know that I could put 14 to 1,500. I think this is going to be something along the lines of 1,300, to 1,370. I think this will be in the ballpark of 110 to 120. And I think that the touchdown totals will be in the ballpark of around 10 total touchdowns, meaning he could run one in. They could get creative with them, but this will be a really, really good year. 10 TDs, 13 to 1370, 110. This is his floor. The upside of if like Dart is amazing, or Winston gets in there and they don't cut him or anything, and Winston's just throwing it and making this guy a top 5 wide receiver every chance he gets. This 10 TD total could go to 14. This yardage could go to 1,400. This reception total could go to 125 plus. This will be his ceiling. So this is his ceiling value. And this is his floor value. So hard to say. What we're looking at is certainly something that, we could go back and forth on. No doubt about it. I get where everybody's coming from that wants to be cautiously optimistic on the ceiling front, just because of the rotation of quarterback and that you don't know what Dart is. But they've got 3 QBs there right now, at least. They got 3 QBs there, and if one thing isn't working, they throw the other one at it. So I'm very, very high on Neighbors. Neighbors, to me, could easily be the number 2 or number 3 wide receiver on the year, and he could be the number 1 overall wide receiver in Dynasty walking into 2026. You could have that good of a rookie year where it's 2, 3, 1, overall, and everybody's expecting him to be the next JJ, the next Jamar Chase, and everybody's taking him over Chase, over JJ, over Lamb, or it's at least, you know, a dual thing where you're taking one draft and one the other. I really, this is an unbelievable season for the kid, but a very disappointing year as projected by the East projections here in a 5-win season, which might even be 4 wins if the probabilities of this is too tough, and I do keep that at 12, then this would go down to 4. But dial in to the show.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Now the phone lines are open. Super Chat has been dropped by BBQ. First Super Chat. Actually, we had the others. No, that was the first Super Chat of the night. That gets a standing O.
Let's go, mashed potatoes!
Not to mention that he also dropped at 50 gifted memberships. So appreciate you. But I love the, I don't know why the JD5 haters even exist anymore. Like, how could you hate JD5? I don't get how the JD5 haters even exist. It doesn't make a lick of sense. Unless you're just looking at the fact that they're trying to double down because they're so wrong about what they said about him. They need him to fail. They need him to be CJ Stroud so that they can look better with their garbage 2024 prediction with JD5. But like to still doubt him at all, to literally believe that because Stroud struggled that JD5 has to, that's the laziest take I've ever heard in my life. That's just such a lazy fantasy football take to try and tie another player to another player because that other player struggled. Can you imagine going into a workplace and saying, hey, the guy before you failed, so you're going to fail? Like, what? It's not even in the same job. You know, you've got one team versus another. Like, it's not even in the same uniform. And you're trying to tie CJ Stroud to JD5 because what? Some people have sophomore slumps? It's absolutely asinine. Travis, you're live.
Yeah, I think more than anything, it's a little bit of fan bases that get rid of, especially when a team like contends with just, you kind of always expect them to do this. That out of nowhere and really out the I'm just seeing people get feeling like I can't be realistic about things.
All right, hold on 1 second. I mean, is this who is this? Is this Jason, the guy I called earlier, right?
No.
All right, Justin. Okay, Justin, go ahead. You're live. Or Josh, whatever. Same thing.
You know you're the number one. You know, you called it, nailed it. So, not hating that, but 13 wins is just an awful lot of wins.
But in a calm fashion, if we take this in a calm direction instead of yelling and screaming at each other, what makes you think that you can't predict something that hasn't happened yet, or something like when I said that the Bengals were going to win the division and be a Super Bowl contender, that, you know, after drafting Jamar Chase when they were the cellar dwellers of the league, people said the same thing to me then, bro. And people said the same thing to me when I said that JD5 would turn the Commanders around in year 1 and they went to the championship game. So I just don't understand why you're shutting the door. Like, I'm not shutting the door on somebody saying, I think, you know, if you called in and said, Smitty, I think the Rams are going to win the NFC, I'm not going to sit here and go, there's no way it could happen. Like, I respect the bold take. I disagree with it. But to suggest that JD5 in his second year, bro, can't get miles and miles ahead of where he was, that the addition of Deebo Samuel, let me merge this call. Hold on. The addition of Deebo Samuel doesn't elevate him even more. Not saying it takes him to the Super Bowl just because of that, but if you don't think it helps them, if JD5 in conjunction gets better, if Kingsbury refines some things, if you have a guy like Krosky Merritt does break out, let's say, or you have another receiver like Luke McCaffrey step up even a little bit, that this team can't be miles ahead of where it was. When it was supposed to have a bad offensive line, what did I say about that? Everybody told me, no, JD5 can't do as well as you're saying, Smitty, because they don't have a good offensive line. I heard all this before, so to say that 13 wins is the sticking point of this argument when there's no evidence they will and there's no evidence that they won't, so I don't know how it's that difficult of a pill to swallow when the man just won, did the unbelievable, the unthinkable last year, bro. I mean, it's not that much of a difference from last year. Like you're talking about a team, the Commanders, that won 12 wins, and I'm giving them one additional win. Like you're getting your panties in a bunch over one win. They just did 12-5. They added Debo. JD5 is better. How could they not be in at least consideration in your mind for having one more win than last year?
The answer I got is this drive is pretty significant to me as well as these coordinators the best in the world. They get enough film on you. You give them an off season. I mean, most of the quarterbacks because of the defensive coordinator. Debo's huge. Debo's great. JD5 is good. He can 11 wins. They just don't keep 13.
Let's see here. The phone line is rough. Can't hear Travis. Yeah, it sounds like the phone line. Hold on, let me switch over to the. Was it working earlier, guys?
No,
was it working or was it
earlier?
All right, hold on. Let me switch over.
Yeah.
Let me switch over to this real quick. Hold on. All right. Talk now, Travis.
Chat, let us know if it's
yeah, they can hear you now. Okay. Yeah, I mean, bro, I hear what you're trying to say, but it doesn't hold any like there's no substantial argument here to just say that because they won games the way you didn't like it or they're too close of wins that they can't do it. Like that's kind of a lazy take. It just.
They also got Larry Tunsil too this offseason, so.
I mean, it's just
tackles.
The team's getting
close games.
Yeah, go ahead, Travis.
With close games, good teams win close games. Bad teams. Patriots were in a bunch of close games last year. They sucked and they lost them. Team focus. You see it in all sports. When you're a bad team, you can't finish. They were a team that wasn't quite elite yet. They were a year ahead of what they could have been. Washington. If they were able to win games they probably didn't have any business being in.
I just don't know how winning games has now become a downside. I don't know how, because you feel like it was too close when he won those games, that you get to take something away from him. What if he had lost all those close games? Now all of a sudden, what's that look like? I just don't understand how that becomes an argument. He won very close games. That won't happen again. First of all, yeah, it might not, because they might win substantially next time. So I don't, like you could look at it like JD5 was playing out of his mind, but the team was catching up to him. And now all of a sudden they add Deebo Samuel. And I honestly think you're completely disrespecting the addition of Deebo Samuel. When you said, I think it was you, right? Was it you or is it the other guy that was saying, you think adding Deebo Samuel? Okay. Because the disrespect to that take is wild. Because Deebo Samuel is a monster player to add to this arsenal. Just a huge yak, probably the best yak yardage receiver in the history of the league. And there's no saying that he doesn't have one more really good. Not even like, okay, he's not what he used to be. I don't even think you can say that about Deebo. I don't think you can say Deebo's not as good as he used to be. I think Deebo had a tough time staying healthy and motivated in a situation he hated being. He wanted to be traded. He's been wanting out ever since the debacle. The fan base and Deebo have not been good since the holdout. And he really, really didn't like his job. And he gained some weight. And he looked great at the end of the year. Again, like my Cooper Kupp versus Deebo example. Kupp, we never saw bounce back. Debo, we did. So he ended the year fine. And so I'm thinking that Debo takes this whole thing to a whole nother level. And it's going to be a pretty fun thing to watch as JD5 gets better himself. And he's always watching, so smart, watching on the virtual reality and the VR headsets. Like, this guy is ahead of his time. And the studying he does, he's the first one in, he's the last one out. We've heard that from the beginning. He's so intelligent. He's so good at running the ball. Kingsbury's system's perfect for him. Kingsbury stayed. He didn't leave. And this is just, it's going to be a great season. It's going to be a great season. Now, do they have 12 wins? Like, are you right? Could you be right that they have 12 wins? Yes. I mean, certainly they could have 12 wins. But just to be so dead set against 13 when they had 12 last year and improved everything, like, I don't understand what we're arguing here.
Because 13 would make them the division winner. It's not going to be the Eagles.
Okay.
It's not going to.
Oh. Okay. What's the rationale behind that? I know. Are you an Eagle fan, bro? Just admit it.
Unfortunately, I'm a Raiders fan, not an Eagles fan.
But why you say that with such certainty? Like, we see teams do well one year and flip the next year and have a bad year all the time. Not to mention they lose their offensive coordinator. I hear your argument on the offensive coordinator. I hear it. I'm not saying that you're ridiculous to think they couldn't have as good of a situation. It happens. You know, offensive coordinators sometimes hit, sometimes they miss. Even in Detroit, bringing Morton back, who had left 1 year for Denver, that could work. But it also, just because he was there, just because there's continuity between Morton and Goff, doesn't mean it's going to work. Just because Miami Mike McDaniel was an amazing offensive scheme architect, he goes over to Miami and he's a shit head coach. Like, it doesn't just translate. You get brought up to be an OC, doesn't mean you're going to be a great OC. You might be very good at what you did. You might have had a hand in something. You might have continuity, but it doesn't guarantee you anything. So the Eagles have been proven, losing Shane Steichen the year prior and having a very, very bad year because of it. You know, obviously their defense is amazing, and that's all pretty much kept, you know, for the most part. I mean, the Eagles are great at drafting too. They had a really good draft. I honestly think, though, with Jalen Hurts having a understated struggle bus year, with A.J. Brown having an understated struggle bus year with injuries, Devontae Smith having an understated struggle bus year with injuries, there's not as much to for sure lean on if Barkley does break. And Barkley, in the history and data and science and algorithms, they all suggest Barkley's got a huge red flag attached to him this year, with a 470 total touches, 430 plus carries. And if the Eagles are not where they need to be, like they proved all last year in the passing department, it doesn't just click because they turn the switch on. Like you're saying, doesn't that bode well for A.J. Brown? It could, but they'd have to be playing well on the passing side of things to have that make sense. Otherwise, Hurts is just going to throw INTs. Like, Hurts didn't have a good year last year. You know, it was defense and Barkley. So if one of those components isn't there, they're not the same team. If Barkley goes down, this is not as good of a team, bro. The reason they were so good was Barkley. They'd be close in a game. Barkley rips off a game-winning run. Like, this is Barkley. Barkley's the reason this team was as good as it was. I'm not saying, look, I'm telling you that I have them maybe falling back a little bit this year. But what record did I just give them? You know, it's not like where's my damn East? NFC East. It's not like I'm telling you they're dropping off the face of the earth. I'm struggling leaving them at 12 wins, but I got them at 12 wins. Like, what do you want from me? On a little bit of a struggle year. I got them at 12 wins. That's how good their defense is. I might go 11 though if you keep pushing me.
I have the Eagles winning. I have the Eagles winning the division, but mostly because even
Super Bowl.
Oh, it just transfers.
Finish. I think they're going to win the division, but I just think they could down it a little bit because not because of the defense. I think the defense will be fine.
Oh yeah,
a couple players.
Defense.
worries me. Barkley for one, like you said, the offensive coordinator. A.J. Brown's knees are a tick time bomb. And then, I like Devontae Smith, but, he's never been a true number one yet. And Dallas Goedert's hurt all the time. So, that team could fall apart. If Hurts doesn't correct what has been off these past couple of years without Shane Steichen, they could be in trouble.
Yeah, and also you got to remember, like I said, and this could be where you come into the live stream, if you even return on this topic, by the way, and you come into the live stream and you say, well, it's because they got hurt. Like, that's part of the argument, bro. Part of the argument is that Hurts has been playing injured for the last couple of years by the time he gets to midseason on. A lot of the injuries have been kept quiet, and Sirianni is the least honest coach in terms of injuries that you'll find in the National Football League. Maybe Kyle Shanahan. But these two guys will not tell you jack shit about what's really going on. So Hurts is always banged up. There's always something going on. And they abuse him with the tush push. Like, he's getting banged up. You've got Barkley, a ticking time bomb there. The knees of A.J. Brown, the missed games of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. God, like, you could crawl in here and go, well, the reason that there are 9 wins, Smitty, and they didn't, whatever, something totally unfolded is because of all the injuries. You can't predict that. I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing here. So you can say that it's not possible, or you could say, yeah, and you do what you want. I'm not trying to tell you what to say or anything. I'm going to argue with somebody that says it's not possible. You're acting like it's not possible that the Eagles fold a little bit. Coming off of a big year, it happens all the time. Happens all the time.
I mean, yeah, there's only, when you're on the mountain, there's only down from there. I understand that. But to suggest that these defensive coordinators who are now have a year's worth of film on JD5, and they're not going to somehow lock in, and those 7 wins that he got on those last drives now become 3 or 4.
Bro,
I don't know.
Why do you? But you're so distinct with, like, bro. Yeah, they're better. What if they win other games that they lost? Like, what are you talking about? You can't just you're compartmentalizing one part and you're acting like there's no other variables. You can't just say, oh, there's 7 games that they got to lose. That's the ticket. Like, that's a lazy take, bro. It's almost like you heard it somewhere and just repeating it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't take 7 wins and try and twist it as a bad thing. You just can't. You can't take 7 wins and use it as ammunition toward the player. That's ridiculous. Who cares if it's close? Is it better? Is it better that it's a blowout? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And not to
suggest that they're going to knock the Super Bowl champs off.
What's wrong?
Win the division. When they win,
dare I?
You got the sophomore season.
Oh,
that's the coordinator's having a whole year of film on.
Bro, he's not the first quarterback to have a sophomore season. What are you talking about? Yeah, some players have a sophomore slump, but not all players. Not to mention, nobody has the rookie year he has, but you don't account for that. You don't say maybe he's different. Maybe he's not somebody that coaches can come in and figure out because he's so far ahead of anybody that's ever come out of college. Like, you are very focused, bro. You have tunnel vision on 1 or 2 things, and you're not factoring in all of the other variables. You're just literally laser focused. You don't consider that he's different. You don't consider that he's so far advanced. You don't consider that the wins are not some sort of negative, that they just are a better team. They win those wins handedly now. They don't just skate by. You don't consider that this man showed poise and clutchness to come out and win those games and continue to do it? Like, that's a winner, bro. He's a winner. This guy is a winner, and the team got better. Everything's going to get better. And who's to say, like, it's so wild of you to suggest that the defensive coaches have film. What about JD5? He's got film on all these defenses. Like, what are you talking about? You're so slanted. JD5's got film on everybody, bro. He's got everyone's number. You don't think he's going through the VR on every single team saying, oh, I'm going to expose that. They showed me film on that. He's got more ability to do that than the defensive coordinators do. And you act like defensive coordinators they're always good. You say they're the best in the world. Some of them aren't. I just think you're giving JD5 no advantages, and you're trying to go after what you think to be weaknesses, and it's wild. And you're going after
strengths. I opened the argument saying no one has ever done what JD5 has done. No one's ever done that. You've never seen it. RG3 might be the closest, and then his knees fell apart. No one's done what JD5 has done. He is amazing. Amazing to me. You called it, all right? What, he had 40 touchdowns passing and 15 in college, something crazy? You called it. You called it out of LSU. He's amazing. It's unbelievable. But to say that he is going to now knock the Super Bowl champs out of their division, they're not going to win the division now. He's going to be the top dog.
So it's so wild to me. It's so wild to me. It's just crazy. It's crazy. I'm surprised anybody's still watching. I'm surprised we still got 145 people in the building after I said something so crazy. Like, bro, what are we supposed to do? What am I supposed to do here? Not try and predict the future. I'm trying to predict the future. I'm not trying to tell the obvious. And sometimes it's hard to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow. If you were here during my Bengals show, when I said the Bengals were going to be Super Bowl contenders and division winners when they were the trash of the league, they turned it around in one season with Jamar Chase. And can you imagine? The pushback was more than this. This is like a fly or a gnat on my shoulder. This isn't even affecting me. But the Jamar Chase and Bengal pushback was so heavy that it had me questioning myself after I get done with the live stream. It was so bad. But this is nothing, bro. This is like you telling me, I run a 550 mile, and I say tomorrow I'm going to run a 549 mile, a second better, and you coming in going, oh my God, can you imagine Smitty running a second better? He's never done it. He's never done it before. So how is he going to do it? Well, maybe Smitty got faster. Maybe he runs a little bit harder and he gets a mile in 5:49. Is it possible? Like, bro, we're talking about one more win. We're talking about one more win and an offensive coordinator leaving where we have evidence. You like evidence. You like that no one's done this or no one's done that, or that he lost games that were so close. What about the evidence that the Eagles, last time they lost their offensive coordinator, had a very bad season? I mean, there's so much to go on both sides of this. I'm not saying you're crazy to suggest that the Eagles win the division. Okay, so let's get that straight. But you are saying that it sounds crazy that I'm saying the Commanders win the division. And that's just a wild, lazy take, bro. Because they won 12 games last year. I mean, am I really predicting the future here? Or am I stating what is pretty obvious? Like, what are we talking about here? The Eagles lost their offensive coordinator, my boy. And Barkley had 430 plus carries. There is a formula and pathway for this to not go exactly to plan. And I still got the Eagles winning 12 games. So I don't even know what we're talking about here. Like, the Eagles could win 11 games in 12 games. It could be 12 Washington and 11 Eagles. Like, it doesn't have to be 13 wins here. It could be the Commanders have the exact same record, but the Eagles have 11 wins and still make the playoffs through a wild card spot. You don't think that 12-5 is getting them one of, if not the top wild card spot? Like, I don't understand what's so hard to understand that this team could win the top wild card spot and not the division. Bro, like, is there a chance that the Dallas Cowboys win the division? Because you're going to say no. You're going to say it's Philadelphia. Is there like a point?
No,
is okay.
Injuries happen. There's a chance.
Okay, so like, how are you not at least okay with the chance that the Washington Commanders win the division? Like, you're not even giving it any chance at all. And if you say you are, then you're backtracking a little bit. And that's fine. But like,
I might backtrack. I might backtrack when I consider the injuries. When I consider the injuries happen, I can backtrack there. Yeah, I hear you. I hear that. You're saying Barkley's going to break down. He had 405 carries, and
there's
not
a chance he breaks.
Madden curse and all that. I can hear that. But I am not you. I cannot predict the future as good as you. Didn't call A-Chan. Didn't call Kyrie. I don't have that in the bank. But I just can't see the Super Bowl champs getting knocked off. And that's just me.
Not a lot of people can, and you know what that is, bro? This is like when I walked into that betting room on Clubhouse. I tell this story every once in a while, where I walked into the betting room. It was just a Clubhouse when the pandemic was going on. People jumped in Clubhouse audio chats. There's like 50, 60 people in there, and I just I raised my hand to talk, and they didn't know who I was. It said my name, but they didn't give a shit. They were all just betting guys. They weren't into fantasy. And I just asked them the mere question, do you guys ever play fantasy? And they said no. And I said, do you ever consider that it might give you an edge on some of your bets because you're more projecting things. You're trying to figure out what next year is going to look like, not what happened last year. What you're speaking of almost feels like that. Like you're looking at what happened. You're not trying to predict what's going to happen. And while I might be wrong on it, you're doing none of that. You're carrying over last year and you're just saying this is what it was. And so they said, give us an example, Smitty. And I said, the Bengals. They're drafting Jamar Chase and they're going to win the division. They laughed me out of the room. I said they could win the Super Bowl. They were laughing so hard. It felt like I was in high school getting bullied. And there was one guy, I hope he calls in right now because he listens quietly and he calls in whenever I tell the story. But there's a guy that was listening and he put a significant amount of money on the Bengals to win the division and he made bank. And they talk about me in that clubhouse group a lot. He said that they have, where they brought up like the legend of Smitty's, Bengal, and that they all regret not putting money on it. And it's because of the projecting of what you think is going to happen. What are the changes? What do you think is going to happen? He ended up rolling all that money. I think it was a significant amount of money because he was a heavy bettor. He rolled it all into the Bengals winning the Super Bowl because I'd also mentioned that. And he lost it all in the Super Bowl because they ended up losing the Super Bowl. It's a great story, though. And if he's watching, call in. But point is, I believe you're looking at things a little bit more in what has happened and not what is going to happen. That's all I'm saying. It sounds like you're very much trying to act like JD5 is what he is. He's not going to get better. JD5 isn't going to study other defenses and break them down. And the fact that Deebo Samuel's not going to amplify everything. The fact that Krosky Merritt might not be a sleeper. He could be a big-time sleeper. That they drafted the Lane kid. This is Adam Peters, one of the best drafters in the game. Him and Howie, both of them are the two best GMs in the league. So if injuries strike the Eagles and they have a very injury-prone team, from Barkley to Hurts is always banged up quietly, to both wide receivers and to Goddard, this is a situation where the defense is so good, but they get worn down by midseason. A defense that's always on the field will never be as productive. We've seen defenses as good as the Eagles end up having a bad second half of the season because they're tired and they're drained. We saw it with the Jets. We saw it with the Niners for a little bit. It is what it is, bro. You got to think a little bit more outside the box. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying you're closed-minded to my side. I'm not closed-minded to your side. I'm just saying keep an open mind to the possibilities of players getting better. It feels like you're trying to break up with JD5 before he breaks up with you.
That's a badass story, and I seen the Hugh Jackman video or Coach Hugh, and that's a badass video too.
Yeah, Hugh Jackson. Yeah,
I can lay something down on.
You remember when Hugh Jackson came on my show? For those that don't know, Hugh Jackson, he's the Browns' former head coach. He was involved in all that craziness in the NFL. He came on the show and I told him that I think the Bengals could win the division. I told him that they should draft Jamar Chase. I told him that Jamar Chase was the answer to all the problems, and that he said that, drafting Penei Sewell is the smarter move, to protect Joe Burrow. And I said, honestly, I think Jamar Chase protects Joe Burrow more than Penei Sewell. And he's like, no, you can't protect Joe Burrow with a wide receiver. And I started trying to explain it, and people don't, they still don't agree with me. It's fine. I don't care. I was right. And then there was an argument in there where Hugh came in, and do you remember when I crapped on AJ Green? Who I like AJ Green. AJ Green played as a Cardinal, and he's a great receiver. But he ended up saying something about, he's got AJ Green. I forget who we were talking about. I forget. But he's like, he's got AJ Green. I'm like, AJ Green, coach, he's not good anymore. And he's like, oh, I coach AJ Green. Like, well, that's good for you, coach, but he's no longer good. Like, what are you talking about? And he was just on one, bro. He was so on one on that. But yeah, that was fun. I gave him respect. I mean, he was Coach Hugh Jackson. He was roasting me on my take, but I didn't care. I let history tell the story. But that was fun to watch. He was not having it. And then he was very confusing with his answers. He was like, I'm like, I think we're on the same page, coach, because he'd say like Jamar Chase is unbelievable. And I think, he'd be great for the offense. I go, then I think we're more on the same page than you were making it out. And he goes, no, we're not. We're not. You're wrong. I'm right. This is great. Oh man. Krosky Merritt highlights are crazy. Yeah, Troy, he's unbelievable. So hopefully he gets a shot. Adam Peters knows ball. He knows how to identify, especially late talent. He identified Brock Purdy, had a big hand in that. He identified George Kittle. He identified numerous other players. Adam Peters in the Niners have never drafted the same since his departure. 2 drafts in a row. They pretty much reached on players. I do admit Michael Williams looks pretty good, but it's really early, and he was a big reach. Ricky Pearsall, while he's a good player, he's a second-round grade player. They took him ahead of Ladd McConkey in round 1. So the Niners have not drafted as well since Peters left. Peters is an amazing draft scout, loves building through the draft. He doesn't even like trading picks very much because he loves the draft so much. All right, let me cycle around the phone line real quickly. Leo with the super chat. I need help. I received an offer. My Tua and Olave for Dak in a mid-second. Should I accept this? I have Lamb and it's Superflex Dynasty. So you need help. I receive an offer. My Tua and Olave for Dak in a mid-second. I'll be honest with you. I'd rather have Dak Prescott by a country mile. And mainly because if and when Tua gets hurt, Olave doesn't hold a candle to Dak in a Superflex. It's just the way it is. I know it sounds crazy, but you also have Lamb, which doesn't really, in non-best ball, help you all that much, but it's fun. But I don't know what's in store for Olave. I don't know what's in store for Tua. These are the concussion brothers. They're the 2 most likely players to suffer a concussion, and both of them are at the tipping point where the next concussion for either one could end their career. So give me Dak Prescott all day long. And hopefully you turn that second rounder into a Cam Scattaboo, and then it's a home runs, smash. But yeah, do that and do it live. All right, let me go over to Rock Out real quickly. You can hang tight. Damn it, what was your name again, bro? Josh. Okay, I'm going to break that down. I'll add you to the phone line. All right, go ahead, Rock Out. Rock Out.
Yeah, right now, me and you basically have like the same record as the Commanders, but both of them are basically a toss-up to win that division.
For sure.
And just because people think that JD5 will have a sophomore slump, just because of Stroud is kind of ridiculous to me. Just because, he had a bad season. It doesn't really make sense to me, and I think like 2 years coordinator will basically do wonders for JD5.
Yeah, I mean, what was Burrow's rookie year was what 20? Let's see, it was 2020, right? 2020. So Burrow had he had a really good rookie year. The 26, 88, 13 TDs, like when he played. And then he came back and had 4,600 yards and 34 touchdowns. Like, I mean, there's countless examples too, where a quarterback has a great second year. There's no sophomore slump or anything. Just because Stroud fell apart it really doesn't, like, look at Bryce Young having a great, kind of comeback year and everything. Now, granted, he didn't have a good year and then get figured out. I understand what the concept of getting figured out means, but JD5 is probably the least likely quarterback to have a sophomore slump in the history of the NFL. And the reason I say that is because he's further along than anybody in the history of the NFL as a rookie. He had the best rookie quarterback season ever. So he's so far ahead of everybody. There's no reason to think he falls in line with the average quarterback on anything, really. So I just think that that's kind of a weak argument, especially when it's not guaranteed to have a you don't always have a sophomore slump. It's not the reason a lot of people do have a sophomore slump is when the player really isn't what they were thought to be. So if you believe that JD5's not really as good as he portrays to be, then yeah, a sophomore slump would be potentially in order. But that's the wrong side of the fence to be on. I'm telling you right now, I think this guy figures you out. You don't figure him out. He's the one that knocks. He's the one that's going to study you. You think defensive coordinators are studying him? He's studying every single one of them, bro. He's in there before anybody gets there. He stays before anybody, or he's there, the final one there. Leaves after everybody else is gone. This is a student of the game. This is a marvel. And he plays for probably, I think, one of the most exciting organizations going forward in the NFL. Yep. I mean, look how quickly they turned this thing around. And they've got the best GM they could possibly have that was available. I mean, he's second or first best anyway, but I mean, they went out and they did. And they also have the beautiful formula that I think is the new way of the NFL, is to have essentially two head coaches. You have Kingsbury, who certainly, struggled as a head coach with all the responsibilities, but you put him in an offensive coordinator position where your head coach is more of a defensive guy. And so Kingsbury's kind of running the offensive side of the entire thing. It's like you have two head coaches, kind of like Campbell and Ben Johnson. It's just a great formula. And if they and even the Eagles, you got Sirianni, but the problem is, Sirianni was and he just got an extension today, but he has been on the hot seat before. He was on the hot seat walking into this year. And he won, and obviously, I'm not trying to say he's not a good coach at all. I'm not trying to say that at all, but he's got to have the right offensive coordinator, or things don't always go right, because he can't step in. It's got to be the player, the coach that he picks to be his offensive leader, or this thing doesn't go right. I think the same thing could happen in Washington, but Kingsbury didn't leave, so we'll see what happens if that happens the next year. But I think JD5 is going to be so far along at that point that they'll be such an attractive spot. They'll get anybody to replace that OC. So, I mean, I'm not saying that the Eagles isn't an attractive offensive coordinator job, but I do think that coaching JD5 at the beginning of his career is probably the most attractive offensive coordinator job in the game. Not to mention, imagine how many players are going to want to play for Washington when they're free agents and they could bring in anybody. This is like Duke. They can go to anybody or whatever. All right, rock out. Anything else, bro? I'm going to cycle everybody off. I'll be back tonight.
Yeah, you want to hear a ridiculous prediction I heard one today? They basically had Commanders third in division at 9-8. I was like, where did you get that from?
He got that from Josh.
I was like,
I never said that.
It sounded like it.
Yeah, I know you didn't say that, but
it sounded like it to me.
9-8.
Yeah. I mean, look, and even that, like, it's ridiculous, but anything can happen. That's why I would never, like you said, bet your life that they have more than 9 wins. I wouldn't. Like, an injury, anybody, any team could lose their starting quarterback. It's like, but that's my whole point, is like, I'm not gonna, if Josh says that the Cowboys will win the division, I'm not gonna be like, I can't believe it's not gonna happen. Like, it's not what I have. The only thing I argue so passionately against people on is when they suggest that what I'm saying can't happen. Then it fires me up, not in a bad way, but, a passionate way. But that's what this felt like with Josh tonight, is that it was like there was no wiggle room. It was like, I'm on something tonight. What are you on, Smitty, to think that this is possible? Of course it's possible.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how possible is it? All right, Raquel, I'll see you tonight, bro.
All right, cool.
Later, bro. Josh, any final thoughts? BBQ with a $50 hauler. Real quickly, anything else?
By that logic, Smitty, let's give the Giants the division. Why not? No, I'm kidding. Hey, what tight end? Or let me just ask. Do you think takes the job, or is it still going to be Ertz?
Take the job? No. Ertz they brought back. He had a good year, but if Ertz gets hurt, it'll be very interesting to see if Sinnett's ready. because he hasn't been ready to take it. So we'll see if he's ready to even step in. But I mean, Adam Peters picked him for a reason, and Adam Peters knows ball. But maybe he's suffering with some injuries and things that never let him progress. I mean, it happens, you know. It just happens. Look at Kincaid. Look at Michael Mayer. Those are two amazing tight end prospects that nobody missed on. They just landed in the worst spots to develop, and then they didn't develop. And now I don't know that we'll ever see them develop fully. So it just depends. But I think Sinnott is
ahead of him too. You know?
Yeah.
He's been around for a long time. He's been productive when he's healthy. So
yeah. So let's
have injury history.
Yeah. If Ertz gets hurt, it'll be very interesting to see if Ben Sinnott's ready. I like him a lot. All right, bro. Call in tonight if you want to. I'll add you to the phone line so I know when you're calling in. Thanks, Josh. Later.
Love, bro.
Bruce, final thoughts, and then I'm going to BBQ's 2 super chats. Bruce, go ahead.
Hey, what do you think of Tracy's upside and floor? Even worth like a drafting or no?
Yeah. I mean, I guess no different than like maybe Dylan Sampson. You know, Dylan Sampson's the backup. Lots of upside, but no guarantees. You know, but I'd say I like Dylan Sampson more. But I'm just saying Dylan Sampson is in a position to try and take the job little by little, just little bits from Quinshon Judkins, and everyone's expecting that not to happen. Well, I got a unfortunate, you know, feeling for those people that it'll be where Quinshon Judkins, if he stays healthy, will be the first and second down guy that grinded it out, the goal line guy. But Dylan Sampson is going to be heavily involved. Whereas Tracy's like on the way out, maybe, but if Scatterboo can't step up, then Tracy will be leaned upon. Think of Tracy like a shot in the dark of having Chuba Hubbard's don't go away and rise up type of career. You know, there's a shot in the dark that Tracy can, everybody's going to write him off. Scatterboo's not going to deliver. Look at Jonathan Brooks. And then all of a sudden, you know, Tracy he takes a big step forward. He's mature. He holds onto the ball. He works on all of his weaknesses. But, you know, Ziggy, volume 10. Ziggy, how old is Tyrone Tracy?
Tyrone Tracy Jr. is 25 years old.
So he turns 26 during the season. In November, he turns 26. That's crazy. So the team's going to be, they like him, but they're going to want Scatterboo to be the guy. They can't, this team is still developing. By the time it's good, they can't be like, oh, our star running back's 29 years old. I don't know. It's a little wild. I know everyone's going to say Smitty, but Harvey's old. He's 24. That's still a significant, you know, difference. And Harvey's got no mileage. He's going to be unbelievable for 2 years, and then he'll be in the same place. But like where he's 26 years old. But I'm not even worried about it. When you think about it, Kamara played at 29 really well. I'm not saying 29 is a good age for a running back to be. But if you start late in that unique circumstance, you're talking about Harvey being 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. 6 years, you're lucky if you have a 5 to 6 year career as an elite running back in the National Football League. You usually have a 4 to 5 to 6 year window, and then it all goes, astray. So his unique situation puts Harvey at a 29 age year doing well. I think it's going to be unique. But Tracy, I don't know that I feel that way. But we'll see. He's definitely worth owning at the end of a draft, Bruce. And cuffing him to Scatterboo ain't a bad idea. All right, bro. Call in tonight.
Okay.
Travis, final thoughts, and I'm going to get to these supers, and then I got to get out of here.
So just real quick on what Josh was saying. Just two things real quick. One, that Eagle 12 wins, like if you watch and pay attention to what you're saying, like, you're figuring in a potential 4 to 5 games missed by Barkley. That alone, not a win or two off the team.
Easily.
That, understand, that's still being very generous. 12 wins is yet.
I know.
The last thing I was going to say is, if you go back and look at the history of the Super Bowl and Super Bowl winners, he said it's hard to knock off the Super Bowl champ.
It's not.
Well, our minds are so used to Patriots in the early 2000s and the Chiefs now winning the division every year and going to the Super Bowl championship. you look back, Rams won it and got worse. The Eagles won it in 2018 and got worse. The Broncos won it and got worse. The Rams won it and got worse. Steelers won it twice and got worse. I think the other teams got better, won their division the next year. The Giants might have did it once. The Seahawks maybe, So a lot of times, it's tough for the Super Bowl champs to come back and.
It's also tough when your running back has 430 carries. He's the injury-prone guy that shook the injury label away for a little while, and then you lose your OC. And your quarterback, your wide receiver room, all of it struggled all year. All year. Hurts struggled all year long, and nobody, for some reason, talks about that. All right, Travis, calling tonight. I got to... Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, you're calling tonight. Appreciate you. BBQ says Neighbors was catching passes. Oh, I already read that one. Thank you. Oh, no. Neighbors was catching passes last year from Vinny, the pasta maker, Jones, Locke, Make-A-Wish halftime. Appreciate you for the $5 here, by the way. Elite talent going to the ball no matter what. He's QB proof is what BBQ is trying to tell you all, and he's correct. And BBQ with a $50 hauler, $50 gifted memberships, $50 hauler.
Give me $50 holler.
Denny didn't call back, by the way. Denny, appreciate you. Denny was sounding like he was going to pass out, so I didn't think he was going to make it. BBQ is dropping this one right here. Let me read it. Smitty be teaching logic, critical thinking, and problem solving. Smitty instincts and calculated risk are from experience. Mad respect for what you've built here. A show where we all thrive while having more fun than any other show. Thank you, BBQ, for dropping that glorious message. And Gump, I am on my way out the door, Gump, so you have literally 15 seconds. Go.
All I want to say is, good job out there, Smitty dog. And my dog likes you too.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
Thank you, Gump.
Wear out your dog and
thank you, Gump.
Your bite from your dog like a man. You know what I'm saying?
No, but thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Down the road, my dog was just about ready to fly out the truck. That scared that person to heck.
That sounds
We
safe.
had the funnest time. You know what I'm saying?
Listen to the show, hanging out the window, almost falling out, listening to the show. I couldn't think of a better compliment. Thank you, Gump.
Yeah, you have a great night there, Smitty dog.
You too, Gumpy dog. Later. I'll see you all tonight. Same bat time as usual, same bat channel. By the way, exciting news for those of you watching right now. I say it's exciting because it does create more content. Don't unsubscribe to the Dynasty channel, because the Dynasty channel is becoming something even different and better. The Dynasty content is now going to be on the main channel. Not that we don't talk Dynasty all the time, but Dynasty exclusive content where it's going to put it all in one. But don't unsubscribe to the Dynasty channel. You're going to love what that channel is all about. It's going to be one of your favorite things to look forward to throughout the week. Appreciate you all. See you tonight. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Live when big news breaks. Appreciate you all. See you tonight at midnight Eastern.